This is Continuum Drag, a weekly podcast where we revisit sci-fi, fantasy, and just plain weird shows.
This week, Inhumans, episodes 5 and 6.
Father, you don't understand. You weren't there as everyone looked at me in pity. If I'd gotten an ability, anything but being human, I could have been king. None of this would have happened. Now I've lost my brother, my cousin, all for the greater good of Adelant.
Welcome to Continuum Drag, the podcast about dictatorial monarchs getting their groove back. I'm Luke, here with my co-host Jordan. What's real, Jordan?
Is that what the show's about?
I think so.
All I could think of when watching these was, I can't believe this is the 5th and 6th episode, or the 5th and 6th part of the pilot.
I think the pilot kind of finally comes to a conclusion. It's almost there. We're almost done the pilot.
I think we're almost done the pilot.
Well, Jordan, this week we're joined by our returning guest, Steve. Welcome back, Steve.
Thanks, guys. I'd like to say that I'm happy to be here, but I had to watch 2 1/3 episodes of the Inhumans.
2 and you went through a little extra?
I tried the pilot, and I think 20 minutes in, I turned it
You
off.
decided against it?
Yes, I believe the kids call it rage quitting. So
Is that what they call it?
They call it rage quitting. Now, that is a video game term, but I think it applies to
But yeah, about
the
15
Inhumans.
years ago, that's what the kids called it.
Yes, yeah.
Well, I wanted you to come on specifically for a reason. You're kind of going to be our MCU expert, our Marvel Cinematic Universe. I feel like of all the people I know, you probably have the best knowledge of it.
Yeah, I'm a
mean,
Marvel fanboy.
You've been fist fighting with Scorsese over this whole thing.
I haven't taken to the streets or anything like that, despite what people might tell you. I'm aware of his comments, and yeah, I've got my feelings. I'm a big fan of the directors of the most recent tentpole Marvel,
The Russo
brothers.
I call them the boys.
The boys. In first name.
What about the guys who made this thing?
I hope they all die. I look them up, and
Well, let's talk quickly
Yeah.
before we get into something. Let's talk about the showrunner of this, because I've also looked into him a bit.
Okay.
What is his name here? Scott Buck.
Scott Buck. All right.
Scott Buck. Now, he's created one other show other than Inhumans, and it was Marvel's Iron Fist.
Oh,
That's
the
right.
worst of the
Netflix
Netflix
version.
films. Yeah.
Yes, that was kind of his prelude to this, I believe.
Right.
But
Or
he's
postlude?
he's a writer on some good shows.
Yeah, he did. Some bad shows too.
Yeah.
Dexter.
Dexter is, whatever your feelings on that. 6 Feet Under he wrote for.
Oh wow. Okay.
But most importantly, 5 episodes of Coach.
Yes, I
Wow.
wrote down in my notes here. Got started on Coach. Jordan will be happy.
Am I the only one who likes Coach?
It
Or
just
liked Coach? I'm saying it like it's still in the air.
it falls into I think your niche of things you like.
Yeah, I liked Coach.
Was it
Beyond my
on
years.
before anyone was born? Jordan loves it. But yeah, because we know, or I know anyway, shouldn't speak for everyone, that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is run on the movie side
Right.
by Kevin Feige,
Feige.
like beige, but
Kevin
with an F.
Feige.
I think it's Feig, but
It's Feig.
we've got 3 options here.
Right. Yeah.
Now, and I only know this because I think you mentioned to me once before.
Right.
He wasn't running the TV side.
No.
Tell me about that. You knew more about him than I did.
Yeah. So I kind of know about Ike Perlmutter. So Ike Perlmutter was the head of the TV. No, you're shaking your head like I'm wrong. Is
No,
that not correct?
I'm shaking your head because I think he's a terrible
Oh,
human
okay.
being.
All right.
Oh, I don't know anything about him.
He's
so-
awful.
Yeah.
Okay, so you both know about this then.
Yeah. Ike Perlmutter is known about this gentleman. You can't track him down on the internet. I think Jordan told me there's only 2 pictures of him in existence.
I think that might be Mutt Lang.
Was that Mutt Lang?
That's another podcast.
But he married Shania Twain. I mean,
yeah.
But then cheated on Shania. That's a whole other. Let's not even get down the.
We're
Mutt
really
Lang
getting
road
off track here.
No, Ike Perlmutter had a real love of the Inhumans. This was his baby. That's why the Inhumans was originally announced as a film. They were going to bring the Inhumans to the silver screen.
Oh, it was going to join the cinematic universe.
It was going to join it was the only Marvel movie that's ever been announced and then canceled or disappeared without being made into a film.
Oh, interesting.
And I think it was in the first or second round of announcements.
One of the phases.
One of the phases as they were starting to have those big like D23 and Hall H announcements where they put out, the next 30 years of films. The Inhumans was slated at one point.
Oh, interesting.
And it really was Ike Perlmutter's baby. And they started to segregate the film and television divisions.
Okay.
So you got those Netflix series, which were very much Ike's world.
Oh, interesting. And then
And
they had the ABC series too, because there was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Peggy Hill.
Peggy
Hill.
Carter. Yeah.
Remember that show, Peggy Hill?
It was the spinoff of
King of the Hill.
King of the Hill. Yeah.
That's the one.
Apparently, by all accounts, that was a good show.
I won't lie. I did watch Peggy Hill, and it was all right.
Okay.
Carter.
Peggy Carter. But yeah, I think this is Ike's baby, and he has since, I don't know if he's been fired or pushed away or.
I don't think so. They just kind of put him in a closet where he just
Yeah.
he's not allowed to see sunlight.
So.
Other than the photos of him, that's why.
But Kevin has definitely been moved to the forefront of both, and now with Disney Plus coming out,
Is Ike back?
I know Ike's gone. Feige he's taken over.
Oh, right.
So they're going to be much more intertwined. It won't be the two worlds anymore.
I did read that this was originally intended to be a movie, and at some point, they just went, nah, we'll put it on the TV.
Yeah.
I guess, if he was the one who sort of spearheading it and he ended up becoming the TV guy, I guess it makes sense it would have traveled with him. But this brings up a thing I want to know about then, related to Inhumans. How does Inhumans fit into the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
The Marvel Cinematic Universe, it doesn't. I don't even know. I think it barely fits in even to the Marvel comic book universe. This is a Jack Kirby thing. And Jack Kirby was all about, intergalactic, giant personality, super powered guys. Like, this doesn't fit in the realm of your Iron Man. Even with what they've done with Thor and whatnot in the movies, I don't see goofballs living on the moon, running around Hawaii, really working in.
This is more a Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer.
All
sort
of those
universe.
other
Yeah.
TV shows are theoretically within that larger universe, aren't they? Is this the only one they made that didn't, like the third one, they didn't tie it in?
It doesn't play. No, I don't think it, because again, it is ABC.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
ABC.
So maybe it would have tied loosely to
I
Agents
think
of
they would have
S.H.I.E.L.D.,
liked
but-
it too. It's just, it became, I think, whether intended or not, a sort of beast upon itself. Like, this is just something, like, it doesn't seem like it would fit with anything, but I'm sure if it was successful, they'd jam it in somehow.
Maybe in the final 2 episodes, Captain America will drop by.
What this would have been if Marvel didn't buy out Fox, this would have been Marvel's X-Men. Because
interesting.
The X-Men were at Fox. Marvel / Disney at this point can't use mutants, but you've got these Inhumans that have these powers. And because you've got this Terrigen Mist business, you can give anybody powers anywhere over the world, right?
You got your Cyclops. Instead of Cyclops, you got your
Mortis.
Mortis. Instead of Wolverine, you got Hair Girl.
Medusa.
Yeah, Medusa. Instead of, I don't know, who do you got? You got Jean Grey. You've got guy with hooves. They're all the same. It's all the same.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Gorgon.
Yeah. Two of those you named. No, we can't. Well, no spoilers, but.
Okay, well, let's get into it then. Is there anything else we need to do before we start the episode?
I'm going to bash this for the next however long we're speaking. So I just want to say there are some interesting characters here in the comic books. Black Bolt especially is really interesting. In a silent medium, having a silent character who doesn't speak is totally fine. Doesn't work so well on television.
No, it doesn't. We'll get into that for sure.
And I'll mention one real quick thing. From what I've read, Lockjaw was not a human that became a dog.
No, I'm pretty sure that's true.
No, Lockjaw was always a dog.
Dog, yeah.
And the only argument is that his level of sentience. Different writers have given him either he really knows what's happening or other treat him just like a dog. But he was never a human that went.
From everything I've seen, he's a human.
Is he human?
Well, you make an interesting point.
I think he's part of the Animal Avengers, but I'm not 100% sure. He's a great character.
There's an Animal Avenger.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Frog Thor, Lockjaw.
There's that pig Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, but
Spider-Ham?
Spider-Ham.
Sure.
As many people know now, Spider-Ham is he a spider that was bit by a radioactive pig?
I can't remember. I just remember the image of him as a kid.
Wait, he's been around since you were a kid?
Oh yeah.
Spider-Ham? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Peter Porker. The spectacular Spider-Ham.
It's just nailing it out of the park with each one.
This is all news to me.
No.
All right, let's do it. Here's the IMDb summary for episode 5. Something Inhuman, This Way Comes. On the run from Oron and her Inhuman army, Black Bolt and Medusa work with Louise to find their family. Maximus changes the game completely. That was courtesy of Ethan Lowe.
Oh, Ethan. Thanks for checking in, Ethan.
Don't you like how Maximus changed the game completely?
I don't think he did, but I appreciate that Ethan watched the show and took the time to write a little synopsis.
All right. So in previous episodes, just for you, Steve,
Okay.
I've tried to follow individual characters through the arc of the episode just because otherwise we'd be jumping all over the place.
Right.
So just bear with me as we
Okay.
sort of work from character to character.
Sounds good.
These will start finally tying together. Mm-hmm. So we won't have to do it too much, but there will be a little bit of jumping from along a single character's path.
Right. So much like the episode itself, this will be confusing.
Not to our listeners, thank
Okay,
God.
good. All right.
To you, the viewer who has already watched it, you'll probably be like, wait, where are we?
Yeah. Who is this? Can we just say before we start, because it predates any of the actual episode, the episode titles are the worst titles in history.
They are bad titles and often don't make much sense to
Yeah.
what's happening in the
Yeah.
episode.
So-
At first, I thought they were going to be character-centric episodes, because
Right.
of a couple of the titles, but they're not.
No.
There's like Enter Medusa. You're like, oh, I guess this is a Medusa episode. Nope.
Here she comes, though.
Something inhuman this way comes is like, what are you even referencing?
I mean,
Why?
someone on the staff was like, I really like that movie and that book by, Bradbury?
Yeah, it's Bradbury, I think.
And then they're just like, let's just name this episode that for no reason.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to start off this week with Gorgon. Last time we saw him, he was searching the jungle for Karnak. Finally, he finds the bloody trail and starts following it from the cliff where Karnak fell. This leads to a series of flashbacks where they retcon his relationship with Karnak. All the stuff that happens between him and Karnak in these two episodes, not been established. In fact, I would say wasn't the plan. I feel like at the last second, they're like, uh-oh, we need to give these characters a relationship.
And what do you think? It's a like one-upsmanship sort of thing?
No, I don't think it's that. It's like they're cousins. Karnak thinks Gorgon's a moron. Gorgon is a moron.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, what we see in these flashbacks is that apparently at some point in the recent past, in the last 2 weeks, Gorgon decided he'd walk past the spot of the moon landing and take the American flag and put it on the wall of his room.
Okay, so we're talking about the one bright spot of this episode right away. That was the only entertaining piece because they breathe oxygen, right? So the flag
It
is just
unclear.
rock solid when he brings
It is
it.
unclear.
Well, they're in some sort of dome.
But Gorgon has left the dome and just wandered around before.
Okay, all right.
We've never seen how he does it.
Right.
Maybe he puts on a space helmet, but I don't think he
Yeah,
does.
we know he
his
doesn't wear a
hoof.
suit though because you see his hoof.
Yeah, in the beginning, that's when I
Yeah.
turned it off.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
did see his hoof in the.
So it's unclear whether they breathe at all. They may
Right.
not breathe.
But when he brings back the flag, the American flag, it is just a rock solid piece of cardboard.
yeah, it's
It's that traditional
Perfectly
1969
square.
video.
Yeah.
Did you see what he had in his hand? That was actually my favorite part.
he also had a baseball.
No, it was a golf ball.
Oh, it was a
Because
golf
they
ball.
played
Because they
golf
golfed
on the moon.
I thought it was a baseball. I'm just like, do they leave a baseball on the moon? All right.
Which means he walked around a lot because they hit
Yeah.
those golf balls.
Well,
Right? So
And then, of course, Karnak's like, you got to go put that back. And he goes and, like, covers his tracks, puts it back. And, yeah, I guess what they're establishing here is Karnak likes to plan ahead, and Gorgon is just, like, all id or something.
Yeah, that's it.
But this is, honestly, I felt like this was all retconning, like, 3 episodes. I'm just like, what is this coming
I don't think
from?
it's as much retconning as they just haven't bothered to establish any of this before.
But
And the
Gorgon's
actors-
never been, like, the dumbest man on Earth.
No, but I
he was
don't
the
think.
dumbest man on the moon.
But I think if you think of it, he's only had a couple scenes where he's actually had any sort of dialogue or anything. It's just.
But he, like, they're literally having coming. It's like, I'm gonna hang this flag on my
Yeah.
wall. It's like, what?
I think they're just trying to make it a little funnier. I just hate the flashbacks entirely because they don't add anything. I hate them. Hate them.
Anyway, that's all of Gorgon's plot this episode.
Fantastic.
It's over
Yeah.
already.
You covered it. Golf ball and American flag.
That's it. So let's jump ahead and let's catch up with Black Bolt, Medusa, and Louise. They got together last episode. Black Bolt and Medusa finally connected again.
Yeah, and this when it starts and they're in the back of her car.
Yeah, she's an Uber driver now.
Like two teenagers just petting each other.
Oh yeah, it was very weird. It was natural born killers.
Like they're trying.
Oh, yeah.
they're
Right.
trying to establish how much they love each other and how much they missed each other. But they're also adults with someone else in public, and they're also in this
They're
supposed to be stressful situation. It's like, why would they be doing this?
I was just like, these are drunk kids getting in the back of an Uber and just drive. I'm just like, it's as if Louise isn't there. What
I know.
they're doing.
Look, I don't want to defend this piece of shit, but Black Bolt seems like he's able to communicate somewhat telepathically, but only when he's touching people. So when he's touching her,
I don't think he can.
Well, she is able to speak for him when he's touching her. I don't think he's supposed to be able to.
They have implied that a couple times before, where he's touched somebody, and that person has taken a lot of meaning from that action.
Yeah.
But it's never been specified.
It's
That's the
never
thing.
been specified.
It's
but
not clear.
It's heavily implied in episode 5 and 6 that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Because he's touching her hair and she's responding to questions. She's saying, no, it didn't hurt.
I think you're giving the show more credit than is due. I think they just think, have him touch her, and now she'll do all the heavy work of all the
Right.
dialogue.
Well, I mean,
that's what her character's mostly been for the last 4 or 5
Yeah.
episodes.
I mean, that's what we see here is, as you mentioned, like he's silent. She's forced to constantly translate for him,
Right.
for the audience. And I think it could be right either way. I think there's a chance maybe they do mean to be psychic. And I think there's another chance where they're just like, let's just get over. Like he touches her shaved head, and she's just like knows what he means. Like it's unclear. They really
touch
left
her, and
it-
he's like,
Now, I didn't see the attack or the head shaving.
Yes.
But I'm familiar with the character of Medusa, and I thought it was an almost touching moment where he was treating it like it was an assault, like a physical and possibly
well,
almost-
they sure shot it like that too.
Oh,
this
really,
is
eh?
this is a real thing that we both bumped on.
Okay.
Is it's a weird scene. Like she's getting her head shaved, and it's obviously like not great.
Yeah.
To have your head shaved by any means, but particularly in this scene, that the people making this really want her to have been sexually assaulted,
Right.
and it's really uncomfortable because none of those stakes landed when it happened.
Right.
And even now, it's just like the reveal which I thought was bizarre, is like it hurt when I'm like, so her hair is full of nerve endings.
Well, she's able to manipulate it, right? And
Yeah.
actually, it's interesting because they established that in a sex scene, in a pseudo sex scene, right?
That's true, but
in episode 1.
But there's no reason why it should be full of nerves.
No, other than it's comic books and
I guess I know,
whatever,
yeah.
right? But
It was just a weird reveal. It's like my hair has feelings.
yeah, I think that
I don't think she said my hair has feelings.
she's not sad. I mean, she's sad, but I think this was, at least we're gonna blame it on Ike. This was Ike's attempt at Marvel Game of Thrones.
I mean,
Right.
yeah, we've
So-
discussed that. It's
Yeah.
not working in any way.
Oh
shape, or
God,
form.
no. But I think that's really why this.
Well, I mean, that's the problem I think with it, because they've done these series of scenes with her where they're trying to like set up like she's been very badly assaulted, but then every other scene is done for slapstick comedy. So like, there's no tone. Like it can't work both ways. You can't have it both ways.
No.
Like in this scene when they brought it back up, I was like reminded how gross the original scene was.
Right.
I'm just like, this is not working, you guys.
So I dodged a bullet jumping over 5 scenes.
It was
so.
not good. And I want to correct something I said last week. After the explosion where they ran away, I thought they had taken Oron with them and thrust her in the trunk
No,
of the
it's
car.
Dolphin Girl.
It is, yes. It is, in fact, Locus, the
Right.
woman with the ability to
Echolocate.
echolocate.
Yeah,
Um,
I just write Dolphin Girl.
Yeah.
And she's riding around in the trunk. Her echolocation, I guess it works from the trunk, because at some point she bangs in the trunk and they stop and she says, hey, my echolocation picked up Karnak. He's somewhere in this jungle.
It's so lazy.
It is very lazy because, like, you don't even hear her do echolocation. They stop. She get out of the car. She does it then. She's like, Karnak's near. She's like, why did you stop
Also,
the car?
this show has I don't know why I keep noticing it, but they always have a lot of scenes of people driving in the car, but they need to get the people out of the car to have conversations. So they have to just keep having reasons. Like last time it was like, oh, we just can't see the helicopter anymore or whatever. But it's just because they don't want to have a driving talking scene.
Right.
And this one, it's like, there's a roadblock.
Oh, yeah. They do that later. I think next episode there's
they
a
just
roadblock.
it's just like, because they don't want them in the car talking is all it is.
What was kind of interesting, and I mean, obviously a thing that's never quite landing, but the whole Locus joining this kind of Black Bolt crew here is to sort of establish like what the royal family is like. Medusa is very dismissive of her.
Oh, yeah.
She's very rude to her.
This is something we talked about either in the last episode or the one previous, that at this point we haven't really established what the royal family is and if Black Bolt is in fact a good king. Because up to this point, the viewers left to believe he is a good king just because we're supposed to support him against
He's our hero,
Maximus.
yeah.
He's our hero.
Yeah.
However, now they start dropping in lines literally in episode 5 after 4 hours of going, we should support this guy, going back that maybe they're not very good and maybe they're a little bit callous and maybe they aren't paying attention to their people. So Maximus does have more points, which is an interesting layered sort of thing. But the way they've done it could not be done worse because they had 4 episodes to have already done it. And they went, no, episode 5, maybe he's not a very good king.
Right.
Yeah, they really get into kind of this idea that like the royal families, they're kind of into the caste system and like they kind of don't like their subjects. And they are very dismissive of like, even Medusa's dismissive of Louise, the woman who's been helping her this whole time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not a deep historical philosopher or a studier of world history. I dabble.
Yeah.
But anytime I've heard the word caste system, it's not been a good thing. No one
Rarely
is like,
is-
let's
yeah.
bring one in.
Rarely associated with a nice idea.
Yeah, so I don't understand like why people are on the opposite side of this issue.
Well, and even in this, because what we're supposed to be seeing in this episode is a bit of a softening of that, or like an idea that they're learning something. But it doesn't even feel like when Medusa talks to Black Bolt about stuff, she's not talking about like maybe we need to change our system. She's kind of like maybe we need to soften our image so that people hate us less. But it's not like let's change. It's more like we need better optics.
Well, she says we need people to see you the way I see you, is what she says, implying that there is more to him than the superficial looks or the power and all that. But again,
They don't want to give up what they have, though. They want to keep their power.
Yeah.
Like
They
it-
just want like more rest time in the mines, right?
which are all interesting ideas that they've had lots of time to get into, but they've had to have more time of like people giving each other high fives at farms.
Well, I think my point is, I actually think Medusa and Black Bolt are villains.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think they're good people.
No, they're not. And but I think that's what they're going to be going for the end of the season is they've learned to be better, but they haven't.
But I don't
earned
think
that.
they are. But I think what they're learning is to just like have an outward appearance of being more fair while not actually being any more fair.
Well, we'll see as this show wraps up in every loose end.
I
by the
think
end.
this show is pro dictatorship.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think Maximus is shown to be a sniveling, weaseling bad guy for wanting to give people like rights.
For a second. He argues that he's going to be good, and then he's also terrible.
But if you look at the other side, it's like they're showing Black Bolt to be the hero, but a hero who wants to take back all his power and put people back in their place.
There are no good people in this entire show.
The show is just insane.
You know what's good? They should put old projector eyeballs in charge. Remember that guy? He was just a guy, and his own power was his eyes just projected stuff on the wall.
Oh, that's cool.
Ooh, quite a power.
Yeah. You know what? When the person who saves the life of a giant teleporting dog is also an asshole, there are no good characters
That
in
is
your
true.
show.
All right, well, let's keep going. There's not much more to say about the Black Bolt Medusa's storyline here. All we kind of get from this point on is they're going to walk in the jungle to try to find Karnak. Louise reveals that her space company is planning a trip to the moon.
Yeah.
Which she's like, maybe I can ask if you guys can tag along. And that's almost her exact line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, they're trying to race to the moon to beat the Chinese? Question mark. It's just like, what?
Yeah.
I think we won that race already.
I'm like,
didn't we?
what is this world building? And but I think at some point Maximus calls down to Locust and they answer the phone there, and Maximus is like, oh no, Black Bolt, you're alive. Oh
Yeah.
dear, and you're free. So that kind of just gives Maximus a little bit of a heads up that things aren't going his way after all. Anyway, let's move on from that, and let's go check up on Oren, the killer that's been sent down to get Black Bolt by Maximus and her little team post explosion. Which I was curious because I did not understand kind of post explosion. It was very unclear what had happened.
Well, here's a weird
There's no
thing
clear at the beginning of this.
They're in some sort of medical lab, which
Yes.
apparently doesn't have any staff other than Dr.
Declan.
Dr. Declan, who the poor guy has nothing to work with. But it seems I like that he's just like, hey, back to work.
Yeah.
Back to work. Huge explosion. People died. Back to work.
What's he gonna do about it?
I
He's got
guess.
these cool new Inhumans. They start dissecting the man who like has weird sharp teeth and spits smoke at his face.
Ooh.
Did you catch his name?
No,
And
I
they find
didn't.
that we've been seeing him for a while. He's like really ugly and got those weird
Yeah,
face, weird
yeah.
face. They haven't said his name up till now, but this episode they did. His name was Sakis.
Right. Well, they did pull like a testicle out of his neck, didn't they?
Yeah,
when they
he
were
had-
dissecting him.
He had some sort of gland, I guess, which just shot out smoke.
Steve was right. It was his
His
testicle.
testicle? It was
From
a
his Sakis. Right?
So every time
Well played.
Sakis shot smoke out of his mouth, that was ejaculation.
Wow. Wow.
No.
This show is maybe deeper than I thought. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, now your power sounded pretty good, Jordan. Eh? Your long neck.
Oh, gross.
Better than that, eh?
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Oh, Jordan. supposed to yes and that.
Yes, true.
All right. But yeah, he's there. Declan's there. He's dissecting the one person. He thinks Oren's dead, but as we know, she has resurrection powers, which has been consistent. She apparently needs to die for a few hours and come back to life. She does. She takes Declan hostage. Declan kind of reveals, hey, well, you were unconscious. I checked your DNA. And apparently, according to your DNA, if you keep coming back to life, you're going to die eventually. That's the threat.
I guess what it is every time she comes back, her
DNA is worse.
Everything, she gets a little bit weaker each time, even though she's not realizing it. She's slowly dying.
Right.
Basically, don't keep dying.
Yeah, don't keep dying. She takes Declan hostage. She calls up to Maximus, and Maximus is like, hey, don't kill that guy. I've somehow been funding his operation with moon money for all these years.
Yeah, they don't explain how he's paying, but he's been paying with a lot.
He's been paying for more for Declan's activities of studying Inhumans, I guess. And she's like, all right, well, what should I do? He's like, I don't know. I still get Black Bolt. And so she calls up the rest of her team. So I actually assumed at this point everybody else was dead.
I thought so too.
What we find out is her and Snakeface died. Mortis and Flora, the plant-moving lady, they walked away and they captured Sammy, the prisoner, with the hot hands. And they're like, hey, where are you guys? And they're like, I don't know. We're just wandering around. What do you want? And they're like, I don't know. Come back to the lab. We'll hold these two chumps hostage until Black Bolt comes back.
Isn't it funny that even like Mortis, that's his name?
Mortis, yeah.
They revealed him to be this like really impressive, cool guy.
Very snarky.
And then they just didn't know what to do with him. Like even this, it's like you have him and
he's kind of the best character so far.
And
but
like
they don't do anything.
They don't do anything with him. And I also think his power is too much because anytime he shoots, like it's over, right?
Yeah.
So they're just like, oh, we'll just have him wander around while things are happening.
And this is the end of this episode for all of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like they spend. It's all just constant setup for the next episode. It's just like, we got to get them all back together, even though we separated them for no reason in an explosion. It is the storytelling is all over the place on this.
I 100% agree that Mortis is the best character.
Oh yeah,
he's sliding into scenes. He's got snappy comments.
He's got charisma. You can't even see his face, and the actor's bringing so much to the role.
His face is literally like a frying pan. Like it's. They just took it's paper mache. I don't understand. You have Marvel now. It's Marvel TV money, but you got money. Someone on Hawaii knows how to make something.
You did see that flag earlier,
but that was funny. That was good.
It was
cardboard,
pure comedy,
right? Like I don't understand. You have this character, and I guess we get more into it the next episode, the backstory about him.
Yeah, but this is also. Well, let's keep going.
Okay.
Let's jump up to the moon. Let's see what Maximus is up to. He's picking out a new group of Inhumans to go down and like. Fine. He's conscripting them basically to go to Hawaii and track down Black Bolt. And they're all kind of, as we'll find out, they say in the next episode, they're like, they're all minors. You're going to send minors down to Hawaii? And for a long time, I thought he meant like people under 18.
Oh, that's funny.
That's even worse.
Then I was
like Temple of Doom. They're just putting the kids in the mine.
I was like, he really is a villain if he's just sending kids down there. And then I realized, oh, you mean minors from the mine. Right,
Not minors, minors.
Minors.
Yeah. So can we... It's episode 5, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I presume that since episode 1, we've been going to Hawaii and back to the moon and to Hawaii and back to the moon. In episode 5, they felt the need to put the title card, City of Adelan, Moon, again.
They always are putting the title card. Like, as if you've totally lost track of what's happening.
It's the same goddamn square
it's
room.
Like, wait a minute. When I'm in this beautiful, lush...
tropical paradise,
and then I go to a terrible looking gray flat set.
Yeah,
it's like, where am I now?
Are we on a different Hawaiian island? Is this Kauai? Molokai? Where are we?
Where are we in Hawaii? This is also a short trip to the moon because all that really happens here is he's kind of got this guy he's got like a toady he's been hanging out with. He used to be the head of the genetic council or something.
I have to say, this is the thing. I don't like this actor.
What?
And I also don't like him in Westworld.
Oh my god.
I just don't like him.
That's where he's from.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was terrible in Westworld, and he's terrible in this. I hate him. It seems like I can see him memorizing his lines. I don't like this actor at all. Sorry, gentleman with beard.
He is the new sniveling right-hand man.
He is very sniveling, and he basically, his whole thing, Maximus decides that he's going to pick out a new army to go down. And his thing is he gets surrounded by men in hoods who knock him down, and he just snivels on the ground, begging them not to kill him. And they're like, no, wait, we're a cool rebellion now who's going to go after Maximus. You want to join us? And I was just like, as soon as I saw this at the end of the episode, I'm like, you guys, you don't have time or the energy to start a rebellion. The writer's room, I mean. I was just like, writers, you're not going to do anything with this.
But you didn't mention that they look like Klingons.
Where's the one guy? There was
Is it just the one guy? I thought
Yeah.
they all had the Klingon
No,
head.
there was one vagina
Oh.
head, right? Just a little piece of, I don't know, foam rubber.
Sorry, what kind of head was
It
it?
was a vagina head. You watch it again. Episode 6, you get a good look at it. And then 4 normal dudes.
I
And
thought
one
they
lady.
all had the head.
No,
just
not
one
at
guy.
all. It was just, I was just like, it's just 4 randos who are, I'm like, this is going to be wrapped up in the next
Honestly,
5
though,
seconds.
if there's 5 of you and one of you has a
Vagina head?
yeah, would you make him the leader, or would you put him in the back? You put him in the back of the
Yeah,
group, wouldn't you?
It depends.
Jordan, do you have a problem with vaginas?
On foreheads? Yes, I do.
I don't judge. I
All right. Let's move on and catch up with Karnak on the ganja farm.
It's so stupid. Catch up with Karnak on the ganja farm.
This has been what he's been up to, Steve, for the last 4 episodes.
Oh,
He's been on this ganja farm.
He also
for
learned
4
how to
episodes.
unhook a bra.
nice. Oh, yes. They woke up after coitus.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is where we catch up with him post-coitus with this the ganja lady.
So, because I didn't know anybody's names, my notes say, is Mike Tyson's superpower being an asshole? Because that's
Yeah.
all he does in the first 10 seconds of waking up.
Yeah, Mike Tyson, because of his face tattoo.
Face tattoos, yeah.
Well, that has been his character trait, though they've softened it since he's sort of lost his memory a little bit
Wow.
from falling.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is a softer version of what we met. At
If
the
you had
beginning.
watched that full first episode, he was just like a total dick, and now
Right.
he's just like a soft dick.
I did see it.
Um,
You should talk to that vagina guy.
oof, this episode.
It's blue. I'm sorry.
But yes, they wake up after postcoital, and they step out of the tent where they find the jerky ganja farmer who's been not happy this whole time. Connor's been there. And I do kind of like this. He's just waiting outside their tent with a gun pointed at it. And he's just like, I'm just going to kill you as you get out of your tent. And as soon as Karnak steps out, he shoots. And Karnak karate chops the bullet in half.
good scene.
Yeah, we get a moment of interesting
Yep.
CGI where we see some spinning of the bullet and him working out, maybe numerical percentages or something.
I mean, we get to see his power in action. And his power is kind of to predict outcomes.
Right.
And be able to act on those predictions. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any prediction that in the world could let you karate chop a bullet in half.
Well, what he realized was, first he predicted what it would be like if the bullet shot him directly in the chest, and he was like, bad. Okay, if it now hit me in the face, bad. If I karate chop out of the air, good.
Oh, it
so
worked.
he chose that decision.
And I guess he can only predict for about 3 seconds because it immediately goes into the girl that he's with.
That's why
That
it's
was
so
funny.
funny. He chops it in half, and half the bullet just slams into his new girlfriend in the stomach.
What it was an old Superman joke, right? The old like Mad comics. Superman comes to save the day. They spray him with bullets and he stops all the bullets, but they spray off and hit all the people in the
Right.
background. That was what the gag was. It's weird that they played it straight.
No, I know. It's not a gag here. It is a dark moment for poor Karnak.
And also, this poor character, this woman has shown up, immediately fall in love with him for no reason, has sex with him, then gets shot, and will ruin this, is going to die, and that's her character. Her character was just
No,
there.
she's-
Not to ruin
she
this.
survived.
She's not going to die.
Well, whatever. Close enough to it.
Let's
You're
just keep
right.
going. Let's
Yeah.
just keep
You're
going.
right.
All
She
right.
doesn't
Let's
die.
just keep going since you.
Well, she doesn't die.
No, she doesn't die. The other one dies. We'll talk about it.
Let's move on. Because that's like episodes away.
Is it?
Yes.
No. Somebody dies in this episode.
Nobody dies in this episode.
I can't tell what happens in what episode.
No, Squawker dies.
No, maybe she does.
Locust dies because
It's
Yeah,
so
she
hard.
does die.
It's so
the
hard to
the white Hawaiian girl that gets shot runs, jumps, has
We don't know she's from
sutured.
Hawaii.
She has a whole adventure in the woods.
tell. Yeah, they run off into the woods here.
Yeah.
They get away from the guy. The guy gets a call because his ganja buyers are coming to pick up their product.
Mm-hmm.
These guys this whole new cast of characters shows up, and they're like, and he's like, "Hey, I need your help. My coworkers ran off into the jungle after I tried to kill them, and I've already killed one of my coworkers." And the ganja buyers are like, "Cool, why don't you show us the grave you dug to put them in, and we'll help you out." They go out there. They shoot this guy in the face. He's out of the show.
I said there were no heroes in this show. I'm mistaken. The drug buyer that shows up,
He is the best.
fantastic, incredibly sensible.
Yeah, he's just like, well, I can't trust you. I'm going to shoot you in the face.
Yeah, and then he perfectly organizes the rest of his team. He points at one person and says, You go, drive the truck as close as you can to the merchandise and put the merchandise on the truck. That is an incredibly thorough instruction.
He's a professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's tired of dealing with these amateurs.
They don't even know how to water plants in the forest.
That's true. They needed Karnak to explain how irrigation worked.
Wow.
But yeah, as Karnak takes his girlfriend out into the forest, he's like, we need to fix this bullet that's in your stomach. He's like, let me think of all the possible ways to get a bullet out of your stomach. And I thought for sure we are going to get like jungle surgery.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, he just like drives his finger. He like pokes her in the back.
It isn't clear how his power works, and it's getting less and less clear as time goes on. So he just thought of all the different ways he could poke her to poke the bullet out, and then he realized the best outcome.
Well, I think he thought of all the different surgeries he could do. He's like, the best way I can think of. And what's crazy is, tell me, this is the angle I saw. He like puts his middle finger into her lower back, and then he pushes it apparently 3 knuckles deep into her back, and the bullet pops to the front. And I'm like, oh, he's going to pull out a bloody finger. Like he just shoved his finger through her skin into her back, and when he pulls it out, there's no blood. Like he didn't puncture. Like how did he get his entire finger into her back?
He said, if I go in the front, it's going to do this. If I go in the back, it's going to do this. So he just punches her in the side and the bullet pops out.
I couldn't follow what was happening.
No.
Anyway, they go back to the camp because Karnak's like, if we double back, then the jerky guy's trying to kill us won't find us because he's looking around the jungle for us. But when they get back, obviously the buyers are there. So he like takes a big stick and like fights them for a bit.
So we get our martial arts minute. Because
Martial arts. It's time for our martial arts minute.
the director of this film did do some good. Well,
The action's okay.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
So he walks into camp and he gets those 2 like meat hooks.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess like weed carrying meat hooks.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah.
Yeah. Looks at them and be like, oh no, this is cable television. There's a big piece of bamboo. I'll just beat people with it. Like he basically had the Ninja Turtle dilemma. Like we can't kill anyone and have blood. So I'm going to grab this stick and beat some people.
It's true. And he does that basically. He gets in a fight with the ganja buyers.
Yeah.
It goes well, and then eventually just like stops going well. It was just like, all right, I guess.
Well, he gets rescued by his shot girlfriend who comes with a lantern. I don't know where they
Yes.
got a lantern from.
Yeah, he defeats everyone, and there's one guy left, and then that guy grabs from behind, and she comes and she's basically like, I'll light all the ganja on fire.
Yeah.
with this lantern.
But
and he's like, do it.
he still ends up caught and hanging upside down over a fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets hit in the back of the head by the actual
The leader.
the leader, the hero of the story.
The hero of this story. But because his girlfriend lit the ganja on fire, Gorgon sees the smoke in the jungle, and he's just like, hey, that might be something.
Yeah, me see fire, and he goes over.
He gets in there. He like does his patented Gorgon stomp, knocks all the drug buyers down, and then he frees Karnak, grabs the girlfriend. They run off into the jungle, and there's a touching moment where the girlfriend tells Gorgon, she's just like, "Oh, you're Gorgon. Karnak always talks about you," and Gorgon couldn't be happier to hear it.
But also, we've seen literally every moment these two have had together. Has he ever mentioned Gorgon?
Just this
passing?
episode. Just this episode.
Yeah, he says at one point that Gorgon is right 68% of the time, and the remaining 32% I have to help him.
Right.
It's pretty good.
That's not a bad. It's
that's
not
not
bad
bad.
accuracy, actually.
I'm not right 68% of the time.
But as they've now saved Gorgon, or Gorgon saved Karnak and the girlfriend, and they're wandering back to the jungle. And my assumption was, it seemed like they had beat all of the ganja buyers. But then off screen, we hear more fighting happening.
I don't remember.
Yeah, we hear one gunshot.
Yeah, and then some more fighting sounds, and then Black Bolt, Medusa, Louise, and
Oh, that's right.
Locust show up, and they're like, "We beat up those drug dealers for you." I'm like, "What? Gorgon just did that."
Yeah, it's because they just needed an entrance for them. So you go like, are they coming back? There's more? No, it's Black Bolt.
Just all the
Medusa.
stuff happens off screen. But I will say, I'm so happy they were all finally together.
Yeah, for now.
I was like, this has taken so long for this to happen.
5 hours.
They're finally all together. And I love it because now all these disparate characters have finally come together again for the first time. They're all getting together. First thing that happens is Louise sees Gorgon. Gorgon sees Louise, and they're like, hey, you want to fuck?
Do they?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the second thing that happens is the meanest cockblock I have ever seen. Because is Luis?
Yeah.
Luis, who is, the most approachable character here. Average human.
Yeah.
Beautiful woman.
She's the
but-
everyman.
Yeah, she's nerdy because she's wearing glasses. Makes eyes at Gorgon. Gorgon's like, yeah, I'm interested. Let's chat some more.
Let's
And
do this.
then In comes who's the other girl?
Medusa or
The one that's been shot.
the girlfriend. Yeah, let's call her the girlfriend.
The girlfriend. She cockblocks Luis and
Gorgon.
Like, we don't have time for this. We got to get going. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
She has been shot.
Yeah, that's true.
She's fine. The bullet's out. They stitched her back in.
Yeah,
She's
that's
totally
true.
fine. She's totally fine. Yes. But as Jordan sort of mentioned, it's time for Gorgon's girlfriend to go because her contract for this series as an actor has ended.
Karnak's
girlfriend, yes.
Karnak's girlfriend.
Yeah.
She
Gorgon will remain celibate.
yes, she turns to them all and says, "Well, I'm going to call the cops and tell them all about my weed business and have them come out here." And they're like, "Well, you'll go to jail." And she's like, "I don't know. Bye forever, I guess."
I know. They just needed to get her out. It was
Her contract was up.
It's just, as I say, it's a sad character because you don't learn anything about her, and she's only there to develop Karnak, and even then they don't really develop him. And so it's just like, all right, we're done with her, off screen now. Not that we needed that much more from her, but
Well,
it's
it did feel like her. It was just like, it's like we've run out of time.
Yeah.
We can't pay you anymore.
Well, listen, if we're sympathetic for her, can we like have a moment of silence for Locust, who was shot off screen?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
In the battle that happened that we didn't see off screen, they turned her and they're like, "How's it going?" And she's like, "Oh, I am shot, and my contract is also up, so I must leave the show
Yeah.
as well."
Yeah. And she's like, "Be a better king," and that's the first. You're like, "Oh, is he not a? He's not a good king?"
Yeah. Oh, did he say
Well,
something?
no, they've established he's not a good king, but they've not established why she would want him to, like, she's like, "Oh, you're cool, actually. I've changed my mind." I'm like, "What? You hated them."
She was down there to kill him 10 minutes earlier.
And she literally was telling them, "I don't like you." 10 minutes earlier.
Can we just say though, it's the exact same bullet wound that the other
Other lady.
girl just survived.
It's because the bullet that he karate chopped went through the one girl and then went
Went
Into-
and then
went
to the next
around the
girl.
world one time.
Yeah.
And is it just a little bit suspicious that Karnak's like, no, this is a fatal one. She didn't sleep with me. This is definitely a fatal bullet wound.
I don't like
Like,
her.
get out of here, man.
Well, that's great. And that basically Locust dies on the ground. But she kind of like half dies and wakes up. She's like, "Oh, by the way, you guys don't know this because you're not part of this plot, but Crystal's on the island too. So you guys need that information too. All right, bye. I'm dead now for real."
Yeah.
It was so funny watching them just like these characters
It's
are
just
done.
really, really clumsy exposition for a show that has all the time in the world to make things work. They're just like, they spend so much time on odd things. They're like, "Oh, quick dialogue. Oh, there's a character over there you need to get to. Okay, great."
I mean, and that almost wraps it up. Except we haven't figured out what Crystal's up to today.
Oh, yeah.
The worst plot of all.
Really? You guys don't like this amazing plot?
She's very busy ignoring the vet's advice on how to keep her dog alive by forcing it to teleport her on dates with David to the beach, where they have this. You don't know this, Steve, but they have the exact same date that Karnak had with his girlfriend. They go to a beach, they strip down, they jump in the lake. The only difference is David's just like, "Hang loose, everybody, hang loose."
So I'm not Hawaiian, but I've been to the state. It's beautiful and has a rich history and a rich culture. And David is the worst representative of the state and of the people of Hawaii that I've ever seen.
He's just like they say he's from the state, but he is actually just a guy who like grew up with a rich father in Aspen, and he just moved to Hawaii just to like bum around for a few years.
Yeah, he's Matthew McConaughey dipped in dog poop. Like, he is repugnant.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Dipped in dog poop.
Yeah, sorry, I
He's
didn't-
got good head of hair, though.
He's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. They're
I mean, he's-
quite attractive to look at, both of them. But he says that the state motto,
Oh, yeah.
we got a saying in Hawaii. Then he looks out at the beach. "This is my office." And then his next one was, "Hang loose."
Now I'm not positive. I didn't look into this, but I just feel like that was a tourism slogan at some point.
There's no history of it. I couldn't find anything. Do you know what the actual state motto is? It's beautiful.
What is
I won't say it in the Hawaiian because I'd butcher it, but it's, "The life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness." That is some deep shit.
Well, imagine he said that to get in her pants.
It might have worked, but
Yeah.
this guy's just.
I think. I mean, she was excited when they high fived earlier. So
Oh my god.
Also, we finally learn what Crystal's power is.
yeah. So she pulls elements from around her. Is that
Yeah,
what
she
it was?
can control the elements.
Yeah.
They've never mentioned up to now.
Yeah.
Also, I like this other piece of retconning for her is when he's learning about her, she's like, "I have no friends on the moon." I'm like, "The first time we saw you, you were going to school surrounded by kids your own age." So
Did
it's
she
like,
was high-fiving people and waving on her way to
I was just like, there's so much retconning happening in this episode.
Does she still have the cool black hair? Like, is the dyed tips?
I think they've kind of put it in a bun just to cover it up, I think. Or like they ponytailed it to avoid having to do it every episode.
I was amazed. I have in my notes, how did she end up with Timon? Like, this guy is basically Hakuna Matata. Like, don't worry about finding your family. You're in Hawaii, baby.
Yeah, I know. He's really like
well, he's struck gold. She's attractive.
Yeah.
She's into him, and she's not very bright.
She has no friends. She's lonely.
no friends. She's lonely. She's fine staying on his weird little farm with him, and she has an awesome dog that will teleport him anywhere he wants to go.
Anywhere he wants to go.
That's a good deal for him. That's true.
Down to the 7-Eleven, down to the beach.
Do you want to go to the bank and get me some cash?
Oh,
Hey, listen, my dealer is like downtown. Can you go pick up some weed for me?
Yeah.
My dealer says there's been some kind of incident in the jungle. I gotta drive a little farther.
Do you mind going check that out for me?
And he literally says that. He's like, "Oh, went so many more places than driving around."
He is
He's
really
loving it.
impressed. Anyway, that's the whole episode. Like, it is just another. It's just, you're right, an extension of a pilot. The pilot just keeps going because we still don't have a conclusion. All right, let's hop into this. Let's get into the IMDb summary for episode 6. The gentleman's name is Gorgon.
Not a Gorgon episode.
What were you and the king talking about, Tybor?
I'm sorry. I won't speak out against any of his plans ever again. Please.
You defied Maximus?
No, not defied. No, I only pointed out how some of his people might feel about his rule.
We are some of those people. We need your assistance to take down the false king of Adelan.
Gorgon and Karnak take on Oron and her Inhuman army with disastrous results. That was courtesy of Ethan Lowe.
So this is where I started to not like you guys as people.
Not the first episode?
Not the first episode. You know, it was the
As
worst.
people.
Yeah, I just for doing this to me, I got mad. I got mad about this episode. I didn't even take notes. That's how bad this was.
Oh, is that why you've closed your laptop?
I watched it.
Are you leaving?
Spitefully.
That'd be a first. Can you imagine you just get up and just walk out of the room?
Steve is leaving. All right. Well, let's start this episode with Maximus having a dream.
Which clearly a dream.
Yeah, it starts off and like Maximus is in the throne room. The whole royal family teleports in and they start yelling at him for taking over the throne. And like at no point did you ever assume it wasn't a dream.
Yeah.
Is there any precedent for this in the first 4 episodes?
No, this is the first dream.
Okay.
The only thing I had a question about is the only piece of new information that comes out of this dream is Black Bolt blames their parents' death, which Black Bolt clearly killed their parents, on Maximus.
Or at least Maximus is worried that Black Bolt blames him.
I bet you before this is over, we find out that somehow, like, you don't know this, Steve, but Black Bolt killed his parents as a teenager by petulantly asking them why one time, and they exploded.
Yeah.
Are we going to find out that Maximus was hiding under the couch and poked him in the butt with a pin at that exact moment? Is that going to be the big reveal?
I hope it is. I hope there's butt poking.
I feel like they're setting up some very convoluted way that Maximus set up the death of his own parents.
Yeah, because it's like, instead of just having that be a colorful thing of his character, that he has to live with the fact that he accidentally killed his parents, and that being a, to be fair, very good reason for not opening his mouth. They're like, oh, what if
What if
put
it was
on the other
Maximus's
guy?
fault?
Yeah.
Anyway, he wakes up in the throne room, as you do, sudden start in your throne, and he gathers up his minor army and sends them down to Hawaii via the wall guy.
Is this the first time we get the look of the one guy who's got like crab arms?
Yeah, we see crab arms.
Yeah, he's great.
Oh my God.
Crab arms looked so bad. They're like, we're only gonna spend from wrist down. So that's it. So it just looks like he's wearing crab arms.
And I mean, they spent so much time being like, this is the psychic boy's father. It's like, so? That's it. I'm like, why do you keep saying that to me? It doesn't matter.
He's the only one from the mines that volunteered to go to Hawaii. What?
From the moon.
From the moon.
And when he gets there, he's very impressed.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, it's nice there's water.
I know. The guy doesn't get a second. They get there and he's like, oh, this is great. And the woman's like, no time for that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, he did just come from the moon.
A second. Let him acclimatize.
It's true. And as he's sending them down, his old toadie's talking to the rebel group, and he's like, and they're like, we got to do something. And the toady guy's like, well, why don't we kill him? That's a good idea, right? Why don't we just kill Maximus?
This whole show looks like it was dressed from props bought at Party City.
Well, and then Maximus, his toady comes up to Maximus. He's just like, hey, I heard somebody's trying to kill you, and maybe we should go hide somewhere. And he's like, well, why don't I just tell my guards? He's like, oh no, don't do that.
By the way, that's more convincing than that actor did over the
Well, that's
line.
what like that's he's just like Max is like, well, I should tell my guards there's an assassination, and he's like, oh no, don't do that.
Are you calling him Toady?
Toady, that's what I call him now.
You know his name is Potomi.
Potomi.
Yeah, Potomi Skolkum. Like he has.
That's a terrible name.
He has letters in his name that don't form words.
Dr. Declan, good name.
Yeah,
Was
no-
this Potomi Momi?
Potomi, P-T-O-L-E-M-Y, Slocum,
Slocum.
S-L-O-C-U-M, but his character name is Tibor, which once again confirming that not only does this have the worst episode names, just the worst character names ever.
It is all insane. But yeah, he very just telegraphs his assassination plot to him. Then Maximus takes the psychic kid aside and it's like, hey, psychic kid, is this guy going to kill me? Let me touch you. The psychic kid has his vision. He's just like, no, you guys had a talk and you're both happy. Real happy about it. And he's just like, really? We were happy. He's like, yeah. You're very happy. He wasn't trying to kill you at all. Everyone can't lie to Maximus. They're so bad at it.
Yeah.
And then
He's so intimidating.
so Maximus not believing. He's like, all right, well, why don't you come to this meeting with me then? And the kid's just like, I have other plans. I really couldn't be there.
I gotta go back to the mine. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
The hot fairy girl that I was with.
We have to go to the mine and mine moon rocks?
That we eat. That we eat and breathe?
Yeah, and make into buildings?
I think they're just digging more space.
Oh, you think it's just like basements?
Yeah, that's what it is because they keep getting people and they just put the ugly people that develop down in the basement.
50% of the population has to get in the basement. And then we jump to the rebellion group and the toady coming down a set of stairs, and Maximus is standing there. He's like, hey, I pieced it all together and I kidnapped all your families. Toady, I'm going to cut your throat right now, and the rest of you are dead. Assassination attempt over.
Yeah.
Why did they show up with only knives? Like
I don't know.
tiny little paring knives?
They have powers. They all have superpowers.
But what I like, though, is this whole plot line could be taken out and you would never notice it.
You would have never known. What's what I tell?
I would have noticed it. I would have stayed awake.
When I said in the last episode they introduced this rebel group, I'm just like, don't do this. You guys aren't going to do anything with it, and they don't. It's over before it starts.
They don't do anything with anything, right? In a well-written show, this is a concept. Like you have a guy who starts off going against a terrible caste system where you just put ugly people in the basement.
Yeah.
And then he turns out to be a terrible king, and then you have people try to write like all of this sounds good in theory, and none of it
But when
is
you,
good
when
in
you
practice.
intercut from the moon to Hawaii 45 times,
Yeah.
it doesn't work as well?
No.
All right, let's hop back to Earth. Let's go back to Hawaii. Let's go to
Yay.
Dave's farm, you guys.
Yay.
Not
Is
the
it Dan?
not the guards
Is
farm.
it Dan? Dave
Is
or
it Dan
Dan?
or Dave?
Doesn't matter, really. Hair.
Poop face. I don't care.
It's poop face hair.
It's because it's terrible.
McConaughey.
McConaughey. Abs.
We hop back there, and Lockjaw isn't doing so well because, as was told to Crystal last episode, if you make him teleport you around, he will get sick again because he needs to rest.
And side note, so this is the vet who we've introduced, and I don't think the writers know how they feel about her because she's been in a few scenes, and we'll talk about her scene later on, but she came and they're like, she's his ex-girlfriend. They have problems. So like, okay, they're going to like have a little witty repartee against each other. But like some scenes I'm like, are you supposed to not like her? Or some scenes you're supposed to like her, but they don't ever land on it because it's like, isn't she annoying? She's ruining all their fun, but she's also giving all the advice that they actually need and they're just ignoring it. So I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about her.
No, and that's it. Basically, we see her again. She's like, you shouldn't have done that. The dog is now sick again. And then she's just like, also, I hate you now, Crystal. I'm going to take a picture of your face. And they start a feud between the two for reasons that are
No,
like
she
baffling.
was like, it became that. Do you remember that? Luke, this is just for you and I. Remember in Galactica 1980 where that one farmer wanted to prove that they were aliens on the farm? This is the same thing. She's like, I'm going to take a selfie of you and show everyone that you're like from the moon. And I was like, what?
She just looks like a human being.
She just looks like an attractive human.
I'm pretty sure I'm really offended right now because I was here for that episode of Battlestar Galactica 1980.
Were you?
That was the one episode I was here for.
That's very
Well, do you
funny.
remember?
Yeah, I remember. The kids were jumping and stuff.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they
Yeah,
were.
that was me.
There's that great song.
When that made this a better episode, for some reason it was just kids jumping.
I mean,
That's what they send the miners down.
any one of these people could start jumping like that, and that'd be like, don't worry. It's
Totally
their power.
believable. Can I just say this is the person that goes to the kill vet? like the kill shelter, and like, can I work here? This
poor
is
thing.
who this girl was.
She's just ready to put anything down.
Absolutely. She's like, ooh, your dog's not doing so well. I've got my stuff in the car. If you teleport one more time, I'm going to have to put it down.
She's like, all I have is a razor blade, but I can make it work.
I do it. It's a little paring knife. It works on people and giant dogs, no problem.
Dave, though, finally has an idea of how Crystal can finally find her family. He's just like, hey, why don't we just use your powers to, like, send up
I
a
know.
signal or something?
I know they're not trying to make Crystal dumb, but the fact that the dumb guy has to point out to her to use her powers is embarrassing. It's embarrassing for everyone involved.
Well, he's done using the dog to get around and pick up
Right.
his supplies.
They've
and
gone
whatnot,
swimming.
so-
He's
They've
got his
bathing.
groceries.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, well, let's get. Maybe you got a hot older sister.
Maybe I'll meet her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they head to the highest point of the island so that she can make lightning come to her hands and also make out in between.
Yeah.
It's not the highest point in the island, but
Oh, it didn't seem like
it's
it was
not at
either.
all. No, it's a volcanic island. It's literally a mountain in the
But
middle.
I know they climbed up there and they're like, he's like, this is the highest point. I'm like, I don't feel like it is.
No, this guy's tricking her all kinds. He's got this down. This is what he does with newbies on the island.
All right, let's check in now with Black Bolt, Medusa, Karnak, and Gorgon, who they're finally all back together after 5 very long
But
episodes.
what happens immediately?
Let's split up, you guys. Oren calls. She's just like, hey, I'm holding Sammy, old hot hands. I'm holding Dr. Declan, both of Black Bolt's best friends, as we've established for many episodes. If you guys don't get back here, we're going to murder them or something. And so Medusa turns to Karnak and Gorgon and says, hey, that lab you guys have never been to, you guys go deal with Black Bolt's friends. I don't know how you're going to get there. You don't know what you're getting into. You've never been there. You have no relationship with these people. And Karnak at some point is just like, can I stop you? He's like, I am still very badly injured and I am not up to going there. And Medusa's just like, shut up, go. And he's like, okay. They're bad people.
Yeah,
I
we
also-
should make her queen.
I also like, though, that this is at least the 3rd or 4th time where they have left an area and they go, hey, we should go back. And they go back and then they go to a new area and then they leave and they go, we should go back. It's just like, it's just the most boring thing to ever see. It's just, let's go back. Let's go back to the same thing we've already seen. Like, somewhere new? Nope.
It's
Just
crazy. It's crazy. It's just like, you two go over there for no reason. We're going to go find Louis. We're going to take Louise's car again. We're going to sit in the back somewhere and we're going to go find Crystal. And that's basically what happens. They drive around for a while. They hit a roadblock and kind of like don't know how to drive anymore. And they basically have a weird conversation with Louise where they're like, Louise is like, so why are you guys living on the moon? And she's just like, it's your fault. Humans are intolerant, not like us in our caste system. I was like, what? Like she gets up on a high horse as if like we're supposed to believe in humans. Or like I'm just like, you have a caste system. You're not better than us.
Side note to everything, when they all meet up with Medusa, everyone has to like mention her hair, and I think Gorgon's like, what happened to your hair? And she goes, long story. And I remember I thought, no, it's not.
Got shaved.
Yeah, Maximus pinned me down and shaved my hair.
Very quick.
That's
Very
a
easy.
quick story.
Listen, we don't. She doesn't have to relive it every time somebody.
Okay.
Right? It can be pretty traumatic.
It's
I
very
expect,
traumatic.
So
They can't.
I'm just saying it's not a long story.
no, it's not a long story, but it's a
It's-
horribly emotional.
It's a short
story.
drama.
It's cast a long shadow.
Yeah.
It was long hair.
Very quickly after they're driving around pointlessly, they see the lightning hitting the highest point in Hawaii.
After like a minute.
Yeah.
There
They
are-
miss it. They miss a few. They miss it a few times.
Yeah, there are massive lightning strikes apparently hitting the highest point, and they have a good like 30-second conversation, and then turn around and be like, "Oh, she's over there."
Oh, look at that lightning. That's odd. They go. They pick up Crystal. They head over to Dave's farm to pick up Lockjaw too. But as they get there, the now evil veterinarian has
so evil.
called the police and told them there's a moon dog
Yeah.
in
It's a real
the
turn.
barn, and the cops are like, "Yeah, okay, I want to see a moon dog."
Yeah, that is a
I think-
exact quote.
Yeah, I think that is what he says. Yeah, I want to see Moondog.
Yeah, open up the goddamn door. I want to see a moon dog.
Like,
No,
one-
I didn't go through all these years of police training and do my years on the street not to see a moondog. So open those barn doors.
It is bizarre. Like she's like telling them there's a dog from the moon and a woman from the moon, and they're just like, okay, we'll come check it out. Like this seems legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The royal family is like, uh-oh, we can't get caught. So they're just like, well, let's teleport the F out of here because we have our teleporting dog who's still injured. Like, this is the thing.
Yeah,
They should
yeah.
be moving him. And they're like, Louise, I know you wanted to come to the moon, but will you stay here with Dave or Dan and just take care of this police problem? And I was like, what? Oh, okay.
And she's like, yeah, I'm just an ugly, horrible human with glasses, so I guess I will.
And what I love is Dave's outside talking to the cops and the veterinarian.
Yeah,
who's-
Dave runs off with a plan.
Yeah,
he's like, I got a plan, everybody. Just wait. And he goes out the side door.
And the cops open the door, and Louise is just inside, and she's just like, she looks at the cop, and she's like, that woman locked me in here. I'm his new boyfriend. She's crazy. And I'm just like, they're going to get her put in prison forever.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you guys don't like her, but what you're doing to her is gaslighting her into prison forever. And then the cops turn around and say, I don't know, whatever, bye. They just like leave.
Yeah.
We don't want to come out here. It's like, well, you're already here.
Well, we've established in this world the police officers are terrible. They're just terrible at their job. They're either
They're beating Black
Yeah.
Bolt with an inch of his life.
or they just don't care.
There is a real drug problem in Hawaii, right? There's a lot of
There's
have
ganja
and
farms
have-nots.
everywhere.
Well,
Everywhere.
Just no, in real Hawaii, like, the opioid crisis hit Hawaii pretty early. Methamphetamines were a problem. Remember Dog the Bounty Hunter, right? And sorry,
you remember? You remember?
Yeah,
Dog
you remember
Bounty
that?
Yeah, I remember kind of how his career ended.
yeah. But like these cops just go out here and be like, "You guys are crazy. We're out of here. We're just gonna bounce." Like,
Well,
you would
to be
be
fair,
prepared.
To be fair, they were promised a moon dog, and when they opened the door, there was no moon dog. I also would have said
There was just a
later-
lady who's been kidnapped by an ex-girlfriend
Yeah.
being held against her will in a barn. Boring.
Yeah, and that is not a moon dog.
I really wanted Dan to go in for a kiss at the end. I mean, you're like, go for it.
You know what? I'm surprised Dan didn't go in for a kiss with
Yeah.
Louise. Like, oh yeah, she's my girlfriend now.
Well, Crystal's
Let me
back
just-
on the moon. That's it. That ship has sailed.
Yeah, that's true. Crystal
Right?
does really say, like, this is over now.
And you know what? That blonde girl is a fucking rocket scientist. Like, right?
No, she's got a lot
yeah,
going
she
on.
works
Yeah.
for fake NASA.
She's
NASA.
No, that's what it's called. Fake.
It's just called NASA.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's fake.
It's got 2 umlauts over the A, the first A.
Oh man. All right. Well, you guys, let's go see Gorgon and Karnak showing down, showing off, showing down, something like
It's time
that.
for some
showdown.
for some Splinter Cell action.
They're showing up at Declan's lab, and they're like, all right, we got to get in there. We got to do something. Are we gonna fight him head on? No.
And Declan's lab are just 6
Yeah.
shipping containers
Ships- yeah.
stacked, right?
Not clearly shots. You're not 100% sure what's there.
Well,
Yeah.
he had to have that money transferred all the way from the moon. He didn't get the best.
Yes, they go total stealth action here and just basically take everyone out from the shadows for the most part. Like, there's no real fight for the most
Well,
part.
it doesn't
No.
really. It's because they don't want to have a big, huge fight sequence, but the sets they have and the lighting don't really lend itself to what they're trying to accomplish because they want to have this very mysterious Batman-esque sort of pulling people to the shadows. But what you have is a guy standing on one side of the doorway and another guy just walking in front of him. And it just is like, okay, sure. Can't see him.
This is like the worst Canadian television show ever made. It's
There-
worse than the
There
worst
is
Canadian show.
there's a sense of that old Canadian TV of just really bad lighting and really bad sets.
This is shot in Hawaii. Actually, imagine, just remember all the amazing films that have been shot on the islands in Hawaii.
They have a huge industry out there. There's no reason this had to be this way.
No reason. You could have used old Jurassic Park sets and it would have looked better than this.
I mean, it's just the outside. That's all you need to use. Karnak ends up in a face-off against the eye-blasting and snarky Mortis. Finally, we get the little Mortis action.
Thank God.
And they kind of like, Karnak's plan is kind of to sympathize with him, and like Mortis is making some good points. He's just like, my power is no more destructive than Black Bolt's, and you guys locked me in a room for my entire life. And Karnak kind of explains to him, like, hey, listen, people wanted to kill you. I fought for you. And so we should be friends because I was always on your side.
No, what he said is that the council, is it they're called the council?
The Genetic Council, yeah.
So the genetic council wanted to kill him. And this is the first time they've mentioned that they have the ability as judges / executioners to be able to decide.
Yeah, them and the royal family can just decide who lives and dies.
Yeah.
Well, who lives and dies and where they go, right? Because as soon as they come out of the Terrigen Mist process, they're either given something or not.
But there's a difference between you have a
Being a
power
minor?
yeah, exactly. You don't have very good power to the minds, and we're going to keep you in solitary confinement for your whole life.
Well, Black
or
Bolt,
kill you.
And another slight moment of interest, like Black Bolt was
He-
meant to be kept.
He seemed to have some similar thing, but very short-lived.
Yes, yeah. Well, eventually he gets rescued by Medusa or whatever. Now, is that after or before he kills his?
It has to be
parents?
after he kills his parents, but who knows? The timeline is, and how did How did Medusa save him? I don't know.
Well, they saved his soul by letting him speak to her
Through
right?
love, through
But
love.
Presumably, they put him in the same bowl, right? That Cerebro type.
Yeah.
He's definitely
Circle.
locked. He's definitely locked in a room,
And
and
Mork's egg. Is it just for me?
Yes.
Mork's egg.
It's on before we were alive. It's just for you.
Karnak sympathizes with him and listens to his story mostly as an effort to get behind him and choke him out.
Right.
Because that's basically he lets him talk and tell his sad story, and then Karnak chokes him out.
Gorgon.
No,
Oh,
Karnak.
Gorgon. Yeah, Karnak chokes him out.
Karnak chokes him out, and then once he's choked out, he stands up. He's like, "Just kidding. I wanted to kill you too."
I know, it's terrible.
It's insane. Because there's another moment where like, oh, this isn't Mike Tyson is an interesting character. Like, he saw the possibilities of because his powers he saw the possibilities in this guy and realized that maybe somewhere down the road he would be a valuable part of their moon society.
With his super cool eye blast power.
But he was
Yeah.
like, no, yoink.
Yeah.
Also, he'd be fucking great in those mines, man. He'd be blasting them away.
Yeah, he could save a lot of time.
Yeah. So, and what a better villain, right? He is the opposite of your king. Why would you not be using this guy repeatedly, right? Like,
Mortis has the most potential.
Yeah.
Maybe because they don't use him much, we think that, but I don't know.
yeah.
He's choked out and knocked unconscious. They rescue old prisoner Sammy Hot Hands, and he's just like, Sammy's like, "Thank you. Let me join you and help." And they're like, "No, leave. We don't want you on the show." And the character's just escorted off of the show.
Yeah, and thankfully he doesn't have to run off scene.
Yeah. You have powers, but you're overweight. You cannot be in the upper echelon of the caste system. Please move along.
Goodbye. Gorgon then once again fights Orin. It's the same sort of fist fight they had before, but this time she gets knocked down and Gorgon's gonna step on her face. He's gonna smash her face, but because Declan told her powers aren't gonna last forever, she surrenders. She's like, "Hey, don't smash my face. I don't know if I can resurrect forever." So she's captured and they rescue Declan, who's just like. He sort of like, "Hey, you guys, I figured out Maximus, your friend on the moon. He's been funding my operation this whole time."
Yeah.
No one knows how, but we kind of get that out of the way.
No one also cares.
Gorgon and Karnak kind of gather all their prisoners up, and they have Mortis unconscious and tied up. And then Mortis, it's so weird. I'm like, you guys have to cover his eyes or something, right? But Mortis basically wakes up. He's just like, "I'm not letting you guys lock me back in prison. That's crazy." So him and Gorgon get in a little tussle. And I can't tell. Did Gorgon stomp on purpose or did he stomp on accident?
No,
he stomped on purpose to kind of collapse the building on both of them.
Yeah. So
he Samson them.
Yeah.
He Samson them. Yeah. So he stomps the floor and it crushes the building collapses on top of them. At which point, Black Bolt, Medusa, and Crystal arrive with Lockjaw at the lab to just the chaos of what they've sent these people to. And first, they find Mortis dead. And I was just like, boo.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
It's like, why did you kill? They're just like, he's dead. Don't, everybody, he's off the show. Don't worry about him anymore.
Yeah.
And they flip over Nebi's rubble and they're like, also, Gorgon's dead. We killed Gorgon as well. I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's here or if it's earlier on. They have the worst music. And this is it was almost like a Grey's Anatomy moment. Just the worst, easy listening sort of music playing over something. This is not effective. And this is also not the show you guys are trying to do.
What bothers me is that when Gorgon's about to stomp on that girl's face, he's wearing boots.
Oh, he's always wearing
They always put boots on.
What the fuck? He's got hoofs.
I know. He has the hooves, and then he's always putting the boots on to cover them, just because they don't want to have him wearing hooves.
It's the last moment. It's your we now, unbeknownst to us, it's
He was
the
about to be
last
dead.
moment for the character. Rip off those pants, give us those hairy goat legs, and give us the hooves.
Serious question, though. He's not dead. Right? They're not going to actually kill him.
I would
God, I
say
hope so.
90% sure he's not dead.
Oh my god.
I feel as soon as they're like, he's also dead, I'm like, there's no way you stick
just
this.
doesn't add
There's no
up.
way you guys stick to this.
No.
I really hope he's dead.
No, they're going to end up sticking him in the Terrigenesis machine or something stupid.
Or the lady Oron with her resurrection powers, she'll
Yeah.
give her last powers to him because they want her off the show more.
Yeah, it'll be something like that.
The show is never gonna.
It to your
I'm
point,
giving
it,
the show even less credit now because of what you do.
it definitely didn't feel like
Final.
it had the emotional resonance that they were going for, and that sort of we're gonna fool them into being sad because it's
I
like,
don't
no, I
know,
think he's gonna
man.
come back.
Don't you remember the name of the episode?
Yeah, it was
The gentleman's name is Gorgon.
Is-
emotional resonance.
Is
right.
or was.
Good question. Let me go back and look.
it is.
Also, it is.
So he's alive.
I mean, you're complaining that it doesn't have the emotional resonance, but at what point did any of this show have emotional resonance?
When he tried to hang that American flag on his wall.
That was good. Yeah, I like that.
He's just like, I'm a college kid. I'm gonna do a cake stand later. I gotta get this American flag on my wall.
What I like is that he's been stomping moon rovers for a while, right? Because he
Hard to
stomps
say.
in the first episode. He stomps a
He
moon
killed Neil
rover.
Armstrong. Stomped right on his head.
But they've been putting all of them in the throne room. There's a little like mantle where there are broken.
Oh,
moon
I didn't know.
rovers.
I didn't see
yeah,
that.
in the background. When
Wonderful.
Ewan Rowan or
Attention
whatever.
to detail is what makes this show so good.
World building, baby, world building.
All right. Well, I mean, that about wraps it up. I mean, as I came to the end of this, I kind of have a new theory about what's wrong with this show.
Everything.
I don't think it like forgives much of it, but this must have just been like raced into production, right?
It feels like it.
Like this must have just been like like this must have been that guy Ike's idea. He's like I'm in charge of TV. We're gonna make Inhumans. I don't want to cancel.
We
It's
start Monday.
It's uncanceled. It's like you guy who just did Iron Fist. I know you're writing scripts for that right now, but you need to write 12 more for this other show I'm working on. I'm realizing more and more. I'm like it just feels like nobody was given any time to attempt to do because all the pieces are there to maybe do something, but it just feels like it's like nobody was given the opportunity to even try.
So Inhumans was officially announced in October of 2014.
Okay, this is 2017.
It was given a release date of November 2nd, 2018. So that was when it was a movie. So rushed into production over 3 years.
Well, to be
No,
fair,
no.
originally intended as a movie, and that
Right.
sort of just collapsed. And then it was like, oh, let's redo it all as a TV show.
Like probably like 12 months later, this guy's like, I still want to do it, and then they like just forced it. I'm sure that's exactly what happened. All right, let's get into the ratings then.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with you, Steve, since you seem to love it so much.
guys, I don't even know how you did not escape pod this thing after the first episode. I know you're running out of terrible sci-fi to watch.
Oh, we're
but
definitely not.
I am a man and machine apologist. I'm a man and machine maniac, and the fact that you
The fans were called Maniacs.
machiniacs, the fact that you escape podded that and are still watching this piece of garbage,
I will say-
baffles me.
The first few episodes, well, still not good. I think we were lulled into an idea that there was some fun to be had
Yeah.
in this premise.
Usually our ratings do seem to start up higher than maybe they weren't, just because you're like, okay, I'm in, maybe this is okay.
Right.
And then, as we've learned now, we're now 6 episodes into the pilot.
All right, but Steve,
Yeah.
something Inhuman this way comes out of 10. What do you think?
Out of 10?
As usual.
Okay, so highlights.
Can't get an 11.
We had the golf ball scene
Yeah.
Right?
and Mortis,
Yes.
and that the hero of the episode, the drug dealer.
Yes.
So a point for him
Okay.
and a point for the golf ball scene.
Okay. Nothing for Mortis?
Mortis gets a point. So we're looking for 3 out of 10.
3 out of
That's it.
10.
That's all I can give it. 3 out of 10.
All right. Do you want to go next, Jordan?
Yeah. I'm going to give it a little bit better than that. 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10. Think this is, I'm going to go with 3.5 on the first one.
Now, can I just ask, because I haven't heard the episodes that you guys have recorded yet. They're not out yet, obviously.
We record in advance, everyone at home.
Right. Wait, they're out now. So go back, if you haven't listened, go back and listen to the obviously the first 2
Yeah, go
episodes.
back and if you're listening to this episode now, stop, go back and listen to the other 2 episodes.
Well, obviously there are a few people that are just going to be tuning in because I'm back on.
Right.
For those people.
You think you draw a crowd?
I draw a few people.
the Stevie Axe?
The numbers increase for sure.
Oh, that's his canon now. Stevie Axe. Stevie
Well-
Axe only listen to Steve episodes.
People know that I'm here to promote Man and Machine. So it's those people that
Yeah.
tuned out.
the Machiniacs?
Well, they stuck around, but then in subsequent episodes, Jordan bashed Man and Machine repeatedly, and I think you lost some fans. But they're going to be back now that I'm back.
Remember
So-
when Jane was on, we had Jane Sanity?
So yeah. So my question.
Where are you going with this?
My question was, what did the other episodes rate? Is this where does this sit?
This is a degradation. This is like
Yeah.
I think what you're seeing now is a slow degradation. I think they started off in the 6-ish range,
Right.
Because we saw potential and we thought it was going to go somewhere.
Okay.
As the episodes came, they weren't improving. But
It's a bunny hill slope.
we
It's
still had
just
it's just
slowly
kind of
going down.
slope. It's just slowly sloping into
So
oblivion.
despite the confluence of storylines, this is still getting worse.
I would say
Yes,
so. Okay.
absolutely. All right. Now that you know that,
There might be a Christmas episode that's going to save it, though.
Oh my
I would be
God.
so happy.
I know.
No joke. I would be ecstatic.
Look, if RDJ shows up in the last episode, that's another point. We're up to 4. That's about it.
I wouldn't put it past him. The gentleman's name is Gorgon. Stephen.
Okay, so
The gentleman named Stephen.
more Mortis,
More Mortis, absolutely.
and there's some serious potential with Mortis. So we give 2 points for Mortis,
Okay, great.
but then -1 for the worst attempt at a coup ever.
Yep. Okay.
God, that's about it. There's not.
So
even
where are
like-
we? We're
at,
at two?
like,
We're at two again?
Yeah. So oh no, the gaslighting of the evil veterinarian girl
You're
was,
back up to 3?
was cool, and the cops just being like, "Oh, we're out of here. I want to see a Moondog.
Where's
Point
this
for a
moon
Moondog." So, but I think it was worse. I was angry at this episode, so I'm gonna give it 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
All right.
No one should watch these. No one. People at home, wherever you are, do not watch Inhumans. If
People mostly listen to this at the hospital.
That's sad. It's really sad. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 and continue that gentle slope downwards.
I'm strangely going to uptick very slightly. I'm going to give it a 4. Only in that, like, the last episode was more annoying to me than this one.
Okay.
But only, it's all incremental. It's all
Right.
incremental.
I'm a man of extremes, so I come on here and throw around 8s a lot, but these were painful.
You're coming in low this
So-
time.
Well, that means there's 2 more episodes to wrap up all these stories that everyone are desperate to know how they end.
How are they going to end this pilot?
Yeah. It's so great. You know what's funny? I don't know if we talked about it during the week, Luke, but people, it's a common thing. You hear people say all the time that, it's really an 8-hour movie. It's really a 16-hour movie and stuff. This actually can make the argument that this is an 8-hour movie, but in all the worst ways possible.
Absolutely.
It's serialized, but the worst way to do serialization.
Well, no, they had like 42 minutes of plot for every single character, but they were going to do 6 hours of television with it.
Right.
So you guys expect that Gorgon is going to be alive?
I think
or
so.
come back to life.
I would be more surprised if he didn't than if he did.
So do you have any other predictions for these last 2 episodes? Do you see this going anywhere?
Well, I said I think there'll be a Christmas episode. I think the next episode they're just going to stop all these plot lines.
Have a quick Christmas episode.
They're all going to go up to the moon. They'll all be friends. They'll be like, guys, it is Christmas, so it's time to stop our fighting.
Moon Christmas.
Moon Christmas.
Right.
It might be
More cultural than religious.
It might be Happy number 11 up there, and that's just for Luke. And that's my prediction. I know this is not going to come true, but that's what I'm really hoping, because if I have to watch more of these scenes go nowhere, it'll be really painful.
So do we expect in the last 2 episodes that Ewan, whatever his name is on the moon, Maximus, is going to be dethroned? Is he going to
Cliffhanger?
lose?
Do you think we're going to go to a cliffhanger?
I think we are going to end up with some sort of cliffhanger, but I don't entirely know. At this point in the trajectory this is going, there is no way they don't take back the moon, or there's some sort of last minute, like maybe the moon explodes. Oh, the moon's going to explode.
Well, more
they're
importantly,
going to blow up the moon.
what we need to know is, did the people involved in the show at this point know they were going to be canceled? Because if so, maybe there's a way to wrap it up. But if they still thought, if these had all gone in production before they had aired, then maybe it will end on a cliffhanger. So we'll have to see.
Zero chance they wrap it up. I put my bet on 0.
So more chance of a Christmas episode?
I think Christmas episode.
It's
There's
more
a higher
likely.
chance of a Christmas episode.
Are we going to see Dave, Dan, and Luis again?
I don't think so.
No,
Maybe Louise.
Louise
She has
for
to
sure.
get her little thing up on the moon.
Right.
There was an
Well-
earlier episode where she had to get this stupid thing on the moon.
And
so.
she has an excuse. She could get to the moon.
Yeah.
She's got to beat the Chinese up there.
I think there's a small chance we see Dave again as well.
Right. I would love if she somehow smuggles Dave onto her shuttle to the moon.
I mean, she did say specifically she can just ask if people can tag along
Yeah.
on the trip to the moon. It didn't seem like it was going to be an inconvenience for fake NASA.
What was it again? NASA.
Oh, so-
NASA.
that was an odd way to pronounce it.
All right, I'm just curious, so I'm going to punch in where we are on the show just to see if we're in escape pod territory either way. I think we're going to watch both episodes, but we probably would have anyway. But the current rating is 5.125.
Pretty close.
Wow. Well, is it a 5? Was there a cutoff?
5.
5.
Look, you're so close to the end. You got to really.
Yeah, I think we
really
have
see
to
it
finish this
through,
story.
right? And
I mean,
like-
I want to know how it all ties together.
Yeah.
look, has Black Bolt spoken either?
No, he just said why.
Oh, and one time he grunted and flipped over a police car.
He grunted and flipped over. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Because that I would tune in to see something like that. Maybe
Oh,
they've
there
been
was
saving
that-
their budget for that.
There was that musical number he did.
And you think again for the last episode we're gonna find out that he got poked in the bum with a
Yeah,
pin?
Maximus is hiding under the couch.
Right.
And he gets poked. And that's why he screams, why? It's not because he's mad at his parents. It's because he's like, whoa, why'd you poke me in the bum?
Yeah. Only time will tell.
Also, the moon is going to explode. All right, that's it. You can email us at continuumdrag@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at Continuum Drag for Instagram and Twitter. Oof, I'm saying these all. I'm trying to get us out of this episode. We've been going too long. There'll be lots of great clips. Jordan, what are they?
Lobster hands, Crystal showing her powers. There was a hologram. Somebody gets stabbed in the eye with a knife. That's
Right.
pretty good.
Steve, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure to see you. As people have forgiven you, thank you for having me.
Oh,
on. I
good.
really
We're
appreciate
forgiven
it.
as people.
As people,
Yes. Closure for our audience. And listener, thanks for joining us. Jordan, see you next week.
There's no fat on that one.
Continuum Drag is recorded in Toronto, Ontario. Theme music by James Rick Seidler. Produced by Jordan Delic and Luke Black. Special thanks to Aaron Yunes, Adam Wheatner, Jeff Hanley, Jane McRae, and Stephen Packard.